Okay. All right. So welcome everyone, Allied Health Academy members, to our first event. We're so glad you're here. Happy Friday. So as you know, this is part of our Alumni Guest Speaker Series, which is under the category of Explore. And our speaker, I'm gonna give you a bio about him, but you should also have this handy dandy sheet. So Jordan Keith Aquino, MPH, is a full-time lecturer in public health practice in the Department of Health Science and the director of the Fibromyalgia and Chronic Pain Center at Cal State University Fullerton. His research focuses on exploring the physical and cognitive statuses of older adults living with and without chronic pain condition. He is also interested in substance misuse/abuse and LGBTQ issues. He has served as a co-investigator and project director of a 10-year longitudinal study, having trained and worked with over 200 undergraduate and graduate students across multiple disciplines. Mr. Aquino has previously worked as research and program manager for the National Fibromyalgia Association, a nonprofit organization, a clinic research coordinator assistant at Apex Research Institute, and served on the editorial staff for the California Journal of Health Promotion. Mr. Aquino received his BS in Health Science, minor in Chemistry, and MPH in Health Promotion, Disease Prevention, both from Cal State University Fullerton. So he's a double alum. He was also a visiting scholar at Chiang Mai University, Chiang Mai, Thailand, the University of California, Los Angeles Fielding School of Public Health, and the University of Michigan School of Medicine Chronic Pain and Fatigue Research Center. So before we give him a welcome, we're actually going to do an icebreaker that's related to public health and to getting to know one another. So pair up with someone that you don't usually talk to, and most of you are new, so it could be anyone, right? But pair up with someone and talk about how you see education as a social determinant of health. So let's do that for 2 minutes. Pair up with someone, and again, answer the question of how do you see education as being a social determinant of someone's health or the community's health? There you go. Okay, go ahead. Any experience for you? Yes.
Yeah, thank you. I like that. Then what I was thinking. Yeah, the chair.
Yeah.
For some don't know. Some to do that one stuff so negatively and bad to really help them everything like that. So that's what I was thinking, you know, more than
Oh, yeah, Mark? Yeah. Yeah, you're good. Wait, did Aaron answer your question? Mm-hmm. It counts, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. You guys are really like. We're gonna get up close and personal. There you go. Hi. For those of you who walked in, we'll do this for 5 more minutes, but grab food and then pair up with someone that hasn't done the exercise yet, and you're answering. Wait, let me have you settle. Sorry. So wait, who just walked in? There's 2, right? Anyone else? No? Okay. Well, let's have someone help out and volunteer to pair with those who just walked in to talk about how you see education as a social determinant of health. You all can talk as a group again, or like share what you talked about.
Did you discuss what a social determinant of health is?
Okay, does everyone know what social determinant means? I should have said that in the beginning, but do you all know? Could we have actually someone share, whoever's comfortable, the brave space, or share about like what they, well, I could explain. So I'll share what a social determinant means, and then someone help me out with what their definition of public health is. So a social determinant is a factor such as education, something in society, such as that's a societal structure, such as education, your neighborhood, your financial status, that has an effect on your well-being and your health. So given that definition, do you feel that you discuss what you think, how you think education impacts your health? Do you feel that sounds good? Yeah? Okay. Does anyone feel comfortable sharing what they said with their partner?
Everyone.
Come on.
Everyone.
I don't want to call on people. That's not my style.
Since this is our first alumni guest speaker event, like, did you have everyone say who they are?
No, I didn't. We could do that. So they introduced each other already. So I'll start. I'm Anna Kapinpin. I know I introduced Jordan, but I'm Anna Kapinpin. I'm your program coordinator for this year, so I'm so excited to get to know you all. And I've been emailing you and seeing you during study hours, so I can't wait till you all get to know me this year and I get to know you this year. So feel free to email me. I want to set up one-on-ones with you throughout the year and make sure everything's good. I've had three years of experience with higher education student affairs and a year in experience with public health. My undergraduate was public health. So this is closely tied to what my passion is. And yeah, so just come talk to me about life, about school, and about the program. And let's start here with your name and what you think public health is. I'm just gonna go for it. Okay.
So my name is Cynthia, and what I think public health is I think broad discipline that is able to have an effect on multiple factors involving policy, education, research, that essentially deals with the health of everyone as opposed to an individual.
Thank you. Great answer. Okay. And then we'll snake around.
My name is Vanessa. I think public health brings awareness to various issues to various ethnic groups.
Love it. Hello.
Hello, my name is Zaka. My view on public health, what I think public health is kind of like programs and resources that help like people in the community and just like awareness of like health and not just health, but other issues.
Other related issues. Nice. Thank you. Then we'll go up here.
Okay, my name is Cynthia, and I think public health is the study of your behaviors and external factors, and it's how doctors and other allied health professions use your choices in life and your genetics to moderate your illnesses and like treat them.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Anissa. I would say public health has to do with, multiple factors causing, an individual's health as well as, everybody else's. So,
Everything's happy.
yes.
I'm Candace. I think public health is a way to understand what's going on in your environment.
Thank you.
My name is Jamoy. I took away Jam. She kind of took my answer.
No, you can say the same thing.
It's just like being aware of your health and everyone's health. Like basically what we're supposed to live by.
Yes, thank you. I know we're going to repeat stuff, but yeah, add your pizzazz to it.
My name is Elizabeth. When I think about public health, I just think about like really passionate people who are trying to bring awareness to communities about things that are affecting the people that live in those communities.
My name is Saina, and how I see public health is like an outreach to communities to bring awareness about certain health issues that may be prevalent in that community or different resources that they can access in order to help them better their health.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
My name is Joanna. I think public health has a lot to do with prevention and intervention from things like diseases or just negative health styles and the supporting lifestyle side.
My name is Ciara. When I think about public health, I think about the healthcare system and what it does for people.
Hi, my name is Valerie. I'm glad they're kind of something already.
Yeah.
And, the awareness of it, making people aware and the effects of having factors really has.
Thank you. And I want to introduce the rest of our team. So everyone already grabbed food already, right? Okay. Okay. So this is our new undergrad assistant, and I'll have her introduce herself.
Hi everyone, my name is Steve. I was a mentor last year and also a mentor this year as well for the upcoming cohort. And I recently got hired as the undergrad assistant. So what I think public health is creating change on another level, like above the individual, so based on communities, governments, thinking about like policy changes to improve the health of everyone else.
Hi, Erin.
Okay, and with that, we're right on time for all the introductions. Now we know how these programs go for our first one, but we broke the ice, we got some food, so let's give a hand to Jordan Aquino. Like right there. Yes.
Hi. Okay. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
How's everybody doing? Good. you guys excited for your program? First event? Excellent. So you guys read my bio. And pretty much I'm going to be here to talk about just a handful of things. I'm really glad that our first icebreaker was having you guys define what public health was, because I was going to kind of ask you guys what you thought public health was. And I'll talk about kind of why I chose this field. It was kind of very serendipitous for me. And then a little bit about myself, my personal background, my educational background, and then kind of my career path all the way from scooping ice cream, the very first job, to where I'm at now. Kind of just knowing, hopefully you guys can relate a little bit to kind of my journey and see maybe take some examples of what I've done and kind of see if that'll apply to your life and kind of help you decide what you think is the right career choice for you. Yeah, so I heard a few keywords when it came to you guys' definitions of what public health is, particularly things about policy. This is one thing that a lot of people don't think about when it comes to public health. So what can you think about as one example of policy? Maybe that's on the university that had to do with public health and had to do with policy. Anybody know of an example on campus?
No smoking.
It's no smoking. And I actually experienced it on the way here when I saw someone smoking. I was like, wait, what is that smell? Because it's been a couple of years since I smoked it on campus, right? But if we're trying to change people's behaviors, which is all about another determinant of health, right, is what it is that I do or don't do is through education, through awareness. But even if that doesn't work, then sometimes we have to turn to policy and enact laws or regulations to see if that in itself not only helps an individual, but also larger populations, right? But through education, through awareness, advocacy, advocating for somebody who doesn't have a voice, right? But also doing research and understand why is it do certain things happen? Why is it that some people do this or don't do this? And then we think about the built environment, right? Do you have parks? Do you have sidewalks? Do you have bike lanes? Where are the places that we can go to enjoy and relax and feel like we can actually meditate and have some stress relief if my home is always inundated with loud noises because of the construction going around, or because I live on Harbor Boulevard, or because I have kids and grandchildren that are screaming and crying that I have to take care of. Right? So what in our environment is contributing to our mental health, our physical health, and really thinking about that whole well person in terms of a holistic way, right? So whether you're in psychology, whether you're in criminology, sociology, all these different disciplines can play a role in health. So thinking about branching that off and really thinking about this broader, I think someone had used the word broad, I think it was you had used a broad perspective, is I didn't know what public health was when I was following university, when I was in community college. How many of you guys are transfer students here, went to community college somewhere around here? Most of you then transferred here straight from high school, right? Right. So regardless if you were in high school or if you go to community college, you might not even heard of what public health was until you came here. How many is that true for most of you? Right. That was it for me. When I wanted to grow up, I wanted to be a doctor because that's all I kind of knew. I wanted to help people, but I was like, I didn't want to be a nurse, but I don't want to be a doctor. So I was like, okay, well, that's what I'm going to be. That's what I want to do. And when I came here, that was kind of what the plan was until I started getting exposed to a lot of things, which I think is a great program from Allied Health to really expose you guys to explore different career opportunities. Because some of these things, when we grew up, it was like you were an accountant, you were a doctor, or you were a lawyer. Right? Those are the kind of big things as you grow up. And I think this is a great thing about community college and universities, that you start to explore different things to see what is it that you really enjoy doing, and can you carve out a new position, a new job that probably wasn't existing 5 years ago. And you might end up having a job 5 years from now that isn't around right now. Right? So think about the possibilities. Think about what it is that you can do in terms of the skill sets that you gain through here and through your experiences in the community, and what your passions are, right? And maybe you might not know what you want to major in because you haven't really figured it out. So that's what the great thing is about these coming years, is giving yourself the opportunity to really experience things here on campus by joining organizations, programs like this, and volunteering out in the community with different organizations as well, to really expose yourself to different populations and different experiences. Okay, so that's one thing I would say. But think about what public health is, right? And hopefully as you guys go through your programs, some of you might change your major as you kind of realize, oh, maybe bio isn't really what I'm interested in, but maybe health science, or maybe psychology, or maybe human services, right? Or maybe I'm really interested in the law part and criminology. Maybe I might go to political science or go into criminology, right? And even then, those different disciplines and majors can still play a role in public health. right? So thinking about social determinants is very broad and very wide, but how do you look at it with a health lens, a health perspective? And as I mentioned, this was not my goal. I actually graduated high school in 2000. And right when I graduated high school, I went straight into community college. I took an astronomy course, summer of 2000. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna go straight into it. I'm just gonna see what it's like and take a college class before I even actually get in and start the fall semester. Because I want to kind of prepare myself. I was the youngest one in my class to graduate. I had just turned 17 just before I graduated high school. So I was 16 most of my high school year, senior year. And so I kind of wanted to push myself and kind of like prepare myself for the rigors of college. So I took that astronomy course over the summer. I think ended up getting like a C or something in that class. I was like, all right, well, it's college. And this was at Mount Sac. Anybody know where Mount Sac is? Just up the 57 freeway, right? And I went there for 2 years, 4 semesters. And after those 4 semesters, I got a letter that said, you're being kicked out because of academic probation. Not because I was dishonest, but because I just would sign up for a semester, maybe go a few weeks, maybe halfway, and I would just stop. Because school at that point was not a priority for me. And so I got kicked out at Mount Sac, and I was like, right, well, what am I gonna do? I still have to go to school. So I went to Citrus College, which was in Glendora, just right up the freeway from Mount Sac. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna go there for a year. I went there for a year, 2 semesters, and I got another letter from Citrus. What do you think that letter was? Another academic probation letter. So now they said, all right, well, in the last year you've been here, the last 2 semesters, you haven't earned a single credit. So you gotta go. So now after 3 years after high school, I went to 2 schools, and I got kicked out of 2 schools rather, and my cumulative GPA was a 0.42. I didn't even know that existed. So I was like, all right. At this point, part of the whole reason was school wasn't a priority. I was partying. I was just kind of living life. I was 18 now. I was an adult, and I can do whatever I wanted to. So partying and friends was my priority. It wasn't school. At least I'd sign up for school and then kind of just lose the motivation. Right? So unfortunately, I hit rock bottom. Things related to drugs and all that sorts of stuff. Bad stuff that contributed to my lack of motivation for school. So I really hit rock bottom. And through hitting rock bottom, I realized that I can either continue what I'm doing and be dead, or be in jail. And neither one of those 2 things were something that I was willing to commit my life to. So I was like, all right, get your act together. And I then applied to Chaffey College up in Rancho Cucamonga, another community college. This is my 3rd community college that I had gone to. And when I went there, I ended up going there for 3 years and graduated there with honors. And I was ready to transfer here. So 3 years right after high school was really bad. 3 years after that was really good. So I was like, all right, no, I'm ready, I'm motivated, I have some direction, I have some ambition now. So I was ready to transfer here. So I left Chaffey College with a 2.89, I believe, a 2.98, 2.89, forget the 2 numbers at the end. I'm sorry, 3.89 or 3.98. So graduated nearly with a 4.0 after those 3 years. But what I didn't know was you're supposed to bring your transcripts from whatever schools that you've ever been to the schools that you go to next. So when I went to Chaffey College, I started off with a clean slate, not knowing I was supposed to report Mount Sac and Citrus in the transcripts. So they were like, oh yeah, you're great, graduating with honors, honor society, all sorts of stuff. So when I came here, I'm looking at the application, CSU mentor, and they're like, turn in all your applications. And I'm like, well, what does that mean? And so I made a few calls and clarified that meant even as far back, if it was 20, 30 years ago, I'd have to report those transcripts. Because in the event that they find out, whoever they is, administration, or whatever it is, from my undergrad, if I ended up going on for my master's or going on for my doctorate, at any point, if it was found out that I went to those schools and I ended up graduating with honors or cum laude or whatever it is, that because I didn't include that in there, it would have reduced my GPA, which would have taken out that designation of honors, which means they could have actually pulled my degree. So I didn't want to risk it. I was like, you know what, I'm just going to be truthful, I'm going to report all of it. And so instead of transferring here as a graduate, as a honors student with almost 4.0, I came in with a 2.99. So whole letter grade below, whole point below. And when I came here, I was set on doing medicine. I didn't want to do biology. I was like, I don't know what health science is. It sounds kind of really interesting. I looked at the kind of the core classes, and I was like, this is kind of interesting. So I decided to declare my major as health science. Ended up minoring in chemistry at the same time because I was pre-med. So I took all the science courses, all the physics courses, chemistry classes, was part of all the different organizations on campus, which have few organizations I recommend if you're considering allied health. Some student organizations to look into is SHPA, the Student Health Professions Association. And if you are part of health science, there is ESG, Eta Sigma Gamma, and they are the Honor Society for Health Science. And if you're not in health science, most of your other departments and disciplines will have their own honor society. And I recommend getting involved not only with AHA, but other organizations on campus, because it'll expand the network and expose you to other people's perspectives and other people's pathways, and kind of say, oh, this is what I'm doing to get to this. You know what? Oh, I was kind of doing that too. What are you doing? Where are you doing this at? Where are you volunteering at? And see if you can start piggybacking with other people, right? And now you start building relationships with new people that are like-minded. Right? And so med school was a plan, and I went so far as sitting for the MCAT, which is a test for medical school. I wanted to apply. I knew how to take a test. I knew how to be competitive in terms of clinical experience and grades and all that kind of stuff. And I felt that I was pretty competitive. But the one thing that I didn't have, that I knew what I needed when I applied, was my own conviction. That this was something I was dedicated to doing, and I was sure I wanted to do for the next 4 to 8 years of my life. 4 years from med school and then residency, however long that was, depending on what I was looking to do. And I knew I didn't have that 100% conviction. Even though I was like, yes, I've been doing this is the goal. I've been doing it for 4 years now. I've been telling everybody I'm going to medical school. But I was like, there was something inside. And I had to listen to that. And so I knew during my 4 years here, I was exposed to what an MPH was, a Master's in Public Health was. I was exposed to PhD programs. I was exposed to research. And during my experience doing undergraduate research, I got to work with a lot of faculty, a lot of students, and train a lot of students in that capacity, helping them do research and do hands-on research that you guys are learning in the classroom. And that was a really cool thing that I enjoyed doing. I actually ended up going to Thailand for a summer on the MERT program. So this was funded by the NIH. And every summer, they send about 4 students who study public health, and you get fully funded to spend about 2.5 to 3 months in Thailand to do original research. And this was in 2008. I was an undergraduate student, and it was awesome. It was probably one of the most amazing experiences in my entire life. Not only get to see other parts of the world and immerse myself in a different culture, but I really got to come up with my own research question and do real research. And that kind of started steering me away from medicine towards research and academia. And so I listened to that, I wouldn't say doubt, but lack of conviction, and kind of explored where that was coming from. And so instead of going off to med school, I decided to get my master's in public health, which was here. And during those couple of years, well, 3 years, I increased even more opportunities when it came to research. I ended up moving my way up from being a research assistant at the Fibromyalgia Chronic Pain Center to making my way up to being associate director during my graduate program. And through all of that was building an entire infrastructure of our center. And Zaira, who's one of your colleagues at the program, lucky enough was part of our team last year. She helped with data collection, so she got a chance to what it's like to actually do research. And that was something cool for me, was I really immersed myself in research. I didn't know what it was. In fact, in high school, my senior year of high school, I decided to challenge myself and I decided to do AP English. Anybody take AP English or AP courses before? So you know how it's a challenge. And I want to challenge myself that last senior year, and I did horrible. And my English teacher had pity on me. She was like, you know what? You're doing really bad, and I have to fail you, but if I fail you, I have to repeat senior year again. So she was like, I understand why you did it, why you took this for the semester. I'm gonna give you a D+, so you don't fail out of high school, you don't fail out of senior year, but go back into regular English. And one of the things that I didn't like about that semester that I remember so vividly was we had to do a research paper. And I was like, oh, research. Oh, I'm never doing, I hate the word research, anything to do with research, and that's what I do now, is research. And part of that was just doing the experience, going through the motions and putting myself, and give myself the opportunity to experience these things. And so that's what I want to do now, is continue teaching and continue doing research. And part of that is I'm still helping people. I'm still helping people who are living with chronic pain, understanding them, talking to them, trying to figure out what works, what doesn't work in terms of managing their pain. And at the same time, some of you guys are going to end up being doctors, nurses, clinical practitioners, allied health professionals. So my impact that I would have on the community is going to be exponential. Because either through my mentorship, through my training, through taking a class with me, right? Those are the things that are going to get you to be your next step, whether it is medical school, whether it is PA or PT or OT, right? So through the experiences I had, the jobs that I had, right? I started off scooping ice cream, and then working at a pizza shop, and then serving spaghetti and making drinks for 10 years. 10 years was the food industry. And then during those last few years, I was working a lot of stuff, doing a lot of stuff here on campus, right? Getting paid as a research assistant. And through those experiences, I kind of transitioned out of the food industry to academia. And so I was helping publish edit papers when it came to the journal. At one point, I had an internship doing clinical research, and that turned into a job for a year and a half. I really got to see what it was like looking at the medical part of research, right? We think about clinical trials, certain drugs. How do we develop a cure for a drug or develop a vaccine? There's a lot of clinical trials. And I got to experience that for a couple of years as an internship and through work. And so many of your different programs you're going to have either a practicum, we have to do 40 hours, or an internship, we have to do 120 hours, 180 hours. So think about those opportunities and say, you know what? I've always wanted to do this. Then do it. Expose yourself to that. Because one of the things you're going to say is, oh my gosh, that was really cool. I want to keep doing that. Or, nah, you know, it wasn't what I thought. And at least you can say, you know what? I tried it. I did it. I didn't like it. Move on to the next thing. Then you can build on the things that you really enjoyed and really build those experiences and those skill sets. Right? So part of that is saying yes to some opportunities, but also learning to say no to some things. And that's one thing I'm learning about now. Is I was always a yes person. Yes, yes, yes. It's going to help me with my CV or resume, all these things. And then I start realizing that I'm starting to get burned out. The quality of my work starts to go down, right? So pick and choose the things that are going to help enhance your professional development, your personal development in terms of who you are and who you want to be as a professional. Let's see. Yeah, so now I teach full-time here. I also teach at Orange Coast College, OCC. Anybody go there for community college? So at OCC, I teach personal health and drugs, health, and society, which is a couple of classes that I've taught here as well. But now in health science, I teach our statistics class, our research methods class, and I help oversee a lot of our internships. So part of the requirements for health science majors is 120 hours. And how much do I have? I go until 35? Yeah, okay. Sorry, I just lost my train of thought. What was the last thing I was just saying? Internship. We're saying internships, and so a lot of our students have to do 120-hour internships, and so I oversee them to make sure that they get placed in certain places and that they have good learning contracts and get really good experiences their last semester or so in their program. And then I do research. I'm the director of the Fibromyalgia Chronic Pain Center. And aside from doing research, which we've been doing research study for the last 10 years or so, which I was a part of. We also try to do stuff with the community as well. So every month we host a monthly support group for the community to come together and have speakers come out. We try to do awareness educational events with them as well, advocacy events. So part of this is recognizing that as a university, we have an opportunity and a platform to really work with communities. And through my journey of public health, I'm realizing that I have a place and I have an opportunity to really make some change, right? Identifying myself as a change agent and thinking about what are the things that I can do within my power and within my resources as a faculty member here that is going to help me help the communities that I want to serve, right? And part of that is having you guys to figure out what are the communities and what are the people and populations that you want to help, whether they're underserved, or different ethnic groups, whether it's your family, right? Thinking about what is it that you want to do as a career, and helping identify what that is by giving yourselves the opportunities of meeting different people. And I think something like this is really going to be a great way for you guys to really do that, right? Because how many of you guys are health science majors? Psychology majors? Sociology? Communication, communicative disease, disorders, human services? Any other ones I may have missed? Kinesiology, okay, awesome. Right, so being able to meet with other people that have different disciplines, different perspectives is really going to make you much more well-rounded in terms of how do you approach problems? How do you solve problems, right? When you're out in the real world, you're not solving problems siloed, individually. You're working with a team. So trying to identify what are the strengths that you can bring to a team, but also recognizing, you know what? I'm not so great at this. Let me find someone that's going to be part of my team that is great at that. Right? And that's how you really build a really strong team, really strong network, so you can achieve a common goal of getting something done. You're feeding off of each other, you're building off each other's strengths, right? As opposed to necessarily, oh, I can't do this, and that can be very paralyzing sometimes. Right? So part of that is being self-reflective. In the things that you do, right? Every single day before you go to bed, think about, okay, what happened today? What am I grateful for today? What are some things that maybe didn't work out so great, and what can I learn from that? So maybe next time it comes up, this is how I can deal with it better, right? And this is how we're continually growing as in not only as individuals, but also as professionals that are going to help the communities that we want to help. Because when you're going to face with that big adversity when it comes to the community, that you don't know how to solve it, right? You're going to ruin it. You're thinking about it, lying in bed, thinking about what am I going to do? How do I fix this? And it can be very exhausting. It can be very paralyzing. So it's finding that motivation, finding that strength and that passion that is going to keep that drive and keep that flame going. And so part of that is doing the experiences, right? Let's see. Personal background. I was one of the first people in my family, extended family, even my immediate family, to go to college. My parents split up when I was about 8, 10 years old. So I didn't really have much of a father figure as my mom and I for most of my childhood. And she barely made it through high school. I'm first generation, so my mom and my dad were all born in the Philippines, and their brothers and sisters were all born in the Philippines. So myself and my cousins were all born here for the first generation. So being first generation, not having an example of what it is to go to college and be at college and be successful, I navigated this all on my own, right? With the help of financial aid, but finding mentors, finding role models. And that's one other piece of advice is find a mentor. Whether it's another faculty member, someone in the community, someone that's gonna look after you in terms of your career, your professional development, your personal development, that you can confide in. Because we're all gonna have tough times. We're all gonna have our experiences, and having someone you can trust in venting, in being lost, because you're gonna be lost. Even when you think about, this is what I wanna do, it's gonna be a time, at least a couple of times between now and when you graduate, you're like, is this what I wanna do? I don't know, maybe I wanna do this and that. And that's okay. It's okay to question it, explore it. One of the things that I've like to tell a lot of my students is timeline. A lot of times we have a set time that we want to graduate. We want to be married. We want to have kids. We want this. We want that. And that's great to have goals, to have ambitions. We should be working towards those goals and dreams. But at the same time, many times we put unnecessary and undue stress on ourselves because of these artificial timelines. And if we give ourselves the opportunity to be flexible with those timelines and experience life, then we're still moving forward without having all that stress. I would try to say, I gotta get this done now, I gotta get this done now, right? And granted, here at the university, we wanna get you guys graduated and out of here, right? But at the same time, the time you're here is worthwhile. It's high impact, right? It's worthy of your time being here instead of saying, yeah, I just came to class, took the grades, took the exams, and I got out, and I was like, that was it. Like, what did you get out of college experience, right? You wanna have it be rewarding, fruitful. So again, opportunities. But finding that mentor, finding someone, especially if you don't have someone at home who has gone to college, right? Finding someone on campus. And that part of this is having other people here, right? Working with Anna, working with Aaron, working with other faculty to see where have they come from? What's their background? Can you relate to those individuals in terms of just their personality, right? Because you want to be able to laugh when you need to laugh, you need to be able to cry with that person so you can get through this, because that's what it's going to be like. And especially when you go on for graduate school, right? That professional degree, whether it's PT, OT, med school, nursing, this is just a stepping stone to that. So know that you're in it for the long haul in some way, but it's definitely doable. Right? And for me, if I gave up, right, those first 3 years out of high school, I wouldn't be where I am now. I mean, part of that is finding the passion, finding that fire is what is it that keeps you going? And maybe you don't know what that is now. Maybe it's just, maybe right now what makes you wake up and say, yes, I want to go to school today, enjoy being in school is, I want to figure out what I want to do, what I want to be. And that's totally fine. If you know what it is that you want to be, then have that be it, right? I want to get into that school. I want to get into this program, right? But if you can identify the value of why you would wake up and why you're coming here and why you're part of this program, then you have that flame that's always going to be driving you. You're not going to feel like you're burning out. You feel like there's a reason why you're doing this, a reason why you're waking up. And then if it doesn't, you don't feel that way, then when you go to bed, think about it. What happened today? What wasn't working out? What didn't make me feel like I'm moving in the right direction? Or maybe I just don't know if this is the right direction anymore. And again, and that's totally fine. That's why you're exploring, trying to figure this out. And so in terms of my current job, I think through a lot of the organizations, a lot of the network and people that I've met through the 10 or so years that I've been on this campus is really due to them and those opportunities of why I'm standing here. If I was not part of VSG, Honor Society for Health Science, I would not have been part of the research team. There was a call for research assistants for data collection, and I was like, I don't know what data collection is. I don't know what being a research assistant is. I don't know what fibromyalgia is, but it's an opportunity and I want to get involved. So I was like, all right, I'll do it. And that's what it started off as. A volunteer research assistant collecting data, learning about what fibromyalgia was, knowing about what research was, knowing how to do it right, good science, and then the rest is history, right? And again, part of all of that is networking, knowing the people and being vulnerable. I think that's a big part of it. Being vulnerable to say, I'm going to talk to someone I don't know, someone who might be very intimidating because they have all these letters behind their name or because they have 10-page CV. But when you realize they're just like anybody else, right? When you have that connection that they could be your mentor, then you feel, oh my gosh, this could be me. And that's even more exciting because you realize the potential within yourself. And that's going to be even more of that flame, not only because I want to do this, but because I see someone that I look up to who's made it as well. And I can relate to them, and I have a connection with them. And I feel like I'm lost, I can go to them because they've succeeded, and they've been in that journey as well. They can give me that life advice, and they can give me that encouragement. So try to find that if you haven't found that already. Let's see. So public health, why you chose public health. Again, it was very serendipitous. Again, part of that was just through the experiences that I had. and it kind of took me away from medicine. And even now people say, well, do you want to go to medical school? Maybe. I won't say completely out of the question, but right now that's not my goal, right? And maybe once I'm done teaching and I've had a good research career, maybe the last 10, 20 years of my life, I'm like, all right, now I'll do medicine. I'll do medicine now before I die. But I don't know. I don't rule it out. It's another possibility, something that I could be working towards. But what I'm enjoying now, what I'm doing now is what I'm enjoying. And I think that we have to do that every once in a while, is evaluate. I've been doing the same thing for the last couple of years, right? Serving tables or doing whatever it is. Am I enjoying doing it? Let's pay the bills, yeah. But am I really enjoying doing it, right? And we can only hope to be that type of person that wakes up and loves our job, not because it puts a roof and puts food in our mouth, roof over our head or food in our mouth. It's something that we enjoy doing. It's not really a job anymore. Let's see. Graduate school, background, career path. Yeah. Yeah.
Can you talk more about what public health is and why you do it?
Yes. So in terms of what we do a lot of exploratory research and a little bit of intervention research. So thinking about what public health is, we're trying to understand why do certain people, so we look at fibromyalgia, which is a chronic pain condition. Anybody ever heard of fibromyalgia before? Yeah. So we think about why is it that some people can be bedridden and stuck at home and not get through life, and some people are highly functioning. And why do people get fibromyalgia? And how can we get people who might be stuck in the rut or bedridden up and moving so they have a better quality of life? So part of that is just understanding the condition by doing research. Part of it is doing intervention research, saying, okay, you know what, I think this particular program, like drumming, is going to help with your mood and might help with reducing your pain. So let's do an intervention study and see whether or not that actual intervention helps in reducing pain and improving your health, improving your mood. Right? And so we come up with that research question, and design a study. You have a research question, you have a hypothesis, you collect that data, and then you analyze that data and you, did it work, did it not work? And if it worked, if it didn't work, regardless of the results, you get the information out there. So you put the poster together, you go to a conference, and you stand there and you say, you know what, this is what I did. And eventually, if it's a really good study, you publish it, so you have these journal articles that you're pulling out of scholarly articles to even get it out more, right, dissemination. And so this is what we do in terms of our research, in terms of just understanding a particular population, in this case, chronic pain population, and figuring out what are some interventions or programs that might help some of these individuals. But aside from that, right, education, awareness. One of the big things about fibromyalgia is that a lot of doctors don't think it's a real thing. So if the people who are supposed to be helping and diagnosing and prescribing treatments for people living with this condition don't even believe it's a real thing, then how is it that people who are living with the condition actually going to get help? Imagine if you're living with this pain and someone says, that's not real. What is that? How does that invalidate you as a person? Right? So trying to understand if the entire system of medicine, or at least a good segment of healthcare professionals don't even believe in a condition, what does that do to the quality of life of these individuals, right? It's the social determinants of health. If an entire system, not even an individual, but a system in itself is unaware or unwilling to acknowledge a particular condition, then what does that do for the entire population? Right? So part of this is educating people. This is a real thing. This is the science that we have. Right? And then also thinking about how do we educate and empower the community. Okay, if you're stuck at home, what are things that you can do? If you don't want to be stuck at home your whole life, then what are some things that you can take within your internal locus of control, right? Taking control of your life. And yes, it's going to hurt to get up and moving, but with research and everything that we've seen, that these are things that's going to help. So yes, it's going to hurt to get moving, but the more that you slowly move, the better it's going to be, right? So developing programs for people to say, like, you know what, come to campus and see if this is going to help, right? And so one of the things that we're trying to do is trying to develop more programs for our community. One of the things that we've done over the last 10 years is more just research, trying to understand them, than it is providing services or programs. And part of our limitation on campus is that we don't have a medical school. And so because we don't have a medical school, we don't have medical services for the community, right? If you have UCLA, they have a huge medical center there. And people from the community can go there and get medical services, right? We don't have that type of facility, so we can't offer those types of services. So a lot of things that I get on our phone calls or emails is, can I come into your clinic because I need a new doctor? And I'm like, I'm sorry, we don't offer that, right? So understanding what people's needs are in the community and trying to meet those needs, but at the same time recognizing what limitations do we have within our resources, right? So thinking about funding and collaborating with other institutions, saying, okay, well, if we don't have a medical school, maybe we partner with UCI, or we partner with another organization in the community, like a clinic, and say, you know what, maybe we can have them go there, right? So trying to think about how do you collaborate with the community and other agencies and institutions to meet the needs of your population, right? And so it's thinking about how do you leverage those relationships, building that network and tapping into the network when you need to, right? So when you think about what public health is, it's all of this. It's the relationships, it's the individual, it's understanding what is going on in the individual, how do you understand what the systems are that might be affecting the quality of life of these individuals, and how do you change policy, how do you use organizations in the community, all of this working together, right? Some type of synergy to make quality of life better for these individuals, right? So what can be difficult is we can't do it all as an individual, right? I can't do the policy, I can't be a doctor, I can't do all as an advocate as well as being, right, an activist, because it can be very, very exhausting to do everything, right? So it's a matter of what is it that you really see yourself doing, whether you can partner up with and work with to really make that big change, right? And knowing where do you fit within all of that. And whether it's psychology, whether it's a criminal justice system, whether it's doing sociology, whether it's doing public health. Does that kind of answer like us a little bit? Other questions? Anything else that we're going to talk about?
Well, before we open up Q&A, I have some questions, and I'll give you some time to think of your own. Let's introduce another member of our team who is our grad assistant. So will you introduce who you are and what your program is?
Yeah, so my name is Emily. I am the new GA for HA. I took Chad's spot. I don't know if you guys have met him. I'm sure you know him. And I moved here from Oregon about almost 2 months ago, and I'm really loving California. I was originally born here, but I didn't grow up here, and now I'm back, and I'm super happy, and I love the sun. I love the diversity. I'm loving the people. It's my first year in the MPH program, so everything has been really exciting here for me, a little bit nerve-wracking, but overall, I just know this is going to be a really great experience, and I'm really excited for the next 2 years of this MPH, and I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
So, well, I want to open it with a question about your personal experience and your academics. How did you persevere through not succeeding at first, and with all the stress and pressure you talk about, how did you persevere through that, and did any part of like your identity like affect you negatively or positively through that through those obstacles?
Good question. So I mentioned, right, drugs was a big part of why I hit rock bottom, and partying and going out. And for me, I wanted something more for myself. And I owed it to my mom to make something out of myself. And so recognizing that I had wasted 3 years of my life, really wasted those 3 years, I knew that I wanted something more. And the way to prove that to myself was to commit myself to school. At least it was something that was going to keep me busy and away from thinking about partying and doing drugs. But at the same time, after high school, I also came out of the closet. And part of that was just trying to understand myself, who I was as a person. Part of that led to me going out and partying a lot, right? So part of that was who I am, being gay, and then going out and partying and just all of that. So no one else in my family identified with that. So not only did I not have someone to relate to personally in terms of my sexual identity, but also when it came to school. So it was all me. I didn't have a role model to look up to. And I had to go off of my own experiences, my own adversity. And all of us will have some adversity, right? Whether it's financial adversity, whether it's like bullying, some type of discrimination. And one of the things that allowed me to persevere and have resilience was knowing that I had been through something worse. And that I knew that everything else from here can only get better. And as long as I kept that perspective, then even though I may have felt like I did really, really bad on a chemistry exam, I knew that if I worked with my friends in studying and put in that hard work, then it'd be better. And I just kept telling myself that I don't want to be where I was back then. And I think part of that is also recognizing as being an addict, that's always something you're going to struggle with, is the addiction. And for me, being aware of that was something that I had to keep at the forefront and always be aware of. And so that helped me stay focused on school and the task at hand, which was getting a degree and getting into med school and succeeding. And so many of you might not relate to being an addict or being in drugs, but we all have adversity, right? And through those adversities, through those hard times, know that you've made it through it. And if you're in it right now, you're gonna make it, you're gonna get through it. And through those valleys of my life, gives me that strength and momentum to reach those hills. Was finding a mentor. My mentor was Dr. Jones, who was a faculty member and who was the director and founder of the research center. And she also identifies as LGBT. And so that helped me see that there was someone like me who succeeded. She used to party a lot, so I was like, okay, I can relate to that too. And yet I can see her success. And so again, it goes back to finding a mentor. Even though I didn't have it within my own family, I found it here. And that gave me a beacon of hope because I knew that if she could do it, I could do it and be there too. And with her support, emotional, financial, and instrumental support, she helped me get through it and helped me feel that I can have the confidence in myself to do it. So if you ever doubt yourself, don't. Come to see me. But go turn to your mentor and find that role model that's going to give you that support and give you that leg up and boost that confidence. Because we're all going to have some moment of self-doubt, especially right before we apply for that next program. So remind yourself how far you've come, and that you have the choice of making the next day better.
That's a good answer. Does anyone, I want to open it up to the students for any questions. Jordan is prepared to answer anything. Right, Jordan?
Well, I hope so, yes. I'll try to. And if I don't, I'll be like, I don't know. I'll come back to you with that. And actually, that's one thing that I've learned, right? I'm someone who many people will think I'm an extrovert. I consider myself an introverted expert. I'm pretty shy and I don't like being center of attention. And being a teacher, right, you're on spot all the time. And one of the things that kind of helped me alleviate some of that stress, well, one of the sources that I felt was going to be a big stress, a stressor was not being able to know what to say. Someone gave me a tough question and like being put on the spot, and I'm like, I don't know. And I think recognizing with responses, well, you know what, I don't know, I'll get back to you on that. right? Is having a response that you know that it's going to cause you stress, or if you're doubting yourself, then find something that you feel confident in answering that's going to be a legitimate response, but you're not discounting someone's question. And for me, that was like, okay, I have something to lean on if someone gives me a question that I'm like, you know what, I don't know. I'll look it up. Let's look it up together right now, or I'll get back to you next time, right? So that was for me a tool for me to kind of figure out, okay, what's something that's causing me stress, that's causing me anxiety, causing me fear, and turn that into something that's going to be positive.
Esther, I have a question for you.
Can you describe your experience in the work program?
Yes. So we had a topic. So we flew out the last week of May, first week of June. So it was literally like 2 weeks after the semester had ended. And before we flew out there, we were told what our topic was going to be on, which was air pollution. So we kind of got to like go online and do some searching articles, and I printed out like literally like an entire stack of articles I could read on the 13-hour flight out there. And when we got there, we had a couple of days to kind of unwind, and we met with our faculty members at Chiang Mai University. And our first meeting, they said, "Oh, it's not air pollution, it's occupational health." And we were like, "Okay, where's the recycle bin?" And so we then had a couple of weeks to just kind of do some research. We ended up going out, and they kind of had an idea of what we were going to do. So there was 4 of us, and we all had a different site in the community. And we all went together to explore all of them, and we individually came up with our own research question based on our facility, what we saw, what we thought we wanted to research. And so we came up with our own research question. We developed our own instruments, and I had a questionnaire as well as an interview. And so I had to get all that translated. So I ended up making friends with some of the students at the university. We ended up going out and drinking and partying, but they would also help me with translating my materials. And I ended up doing a questionnaire. I ended up doing an audio-video recording of them, and then getting that transcribed and typing it all out, and then doing some analysis. And then before I left, I came back here. I ended up presenting that research to the faculty there. And then when I came back here, I presented to the faculty and some students here. But while I was in Thailand and doing that research, I got to explore, I got to travel, I got to vacation. I went to Phuket, I went to Bangkok. We got to go on vacation for a few weekends. So I really got to immerse myself in a new culture, different part of the world, and really get that real life experience of doing research on my own, which was really cool. And we had a couple of faculty members that were there mentoring us and showing us around, helping us with some of the stuff that were from the university as well. Yeah, so even if you're not in public health, I think there are other opportunities. You can look at like Argentina, London. It all depends on kind of your discipline. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes. I was curious, could you tell us about your 10-year longitudinal study?
Yes. So we started this study in 2008, and for every other year since then, 2008, 10, 12, 14, and 16, we invited older adults with and without fibromyalgia. So those who didn't have fibromyalgia were considered our healthy adults. And then those who had fibromyalgia were the ones who had, obviously, chronic pain condition. And we mailed out questionnaires, a bunch of paperwork to have them fill it out before they came in. They came in, and then they spent about 2.5, 3 hours, and some of them ended up spending time with Zaida. But they would go through a battery of physical performance tests. So we had them go through a balance test. They had to walk around a cone as fast as they can without falling and how fast they can do it, walking in 30 feet, walking around a track for 6 minutes. All of this was to measure their physical performance. Then they also went and did one-on-one, which is where Zara came in, and they did neuropsychological assessments. So they did cognitive testing. And they'll spend about anywhere from half hour to an hour doing this test from, if I'd say 6, 7, 5. Repeat those numbers, 6, 7, 5. But now I want you to repeat it backwards, 7, 5, 6. Right, so it's different types of tests. Right, filling in, here's a symbol, here's a number, do as many as you can as fast and within 2 minutes. So it's measuring their cognitive ability. In addition to that, a lot of the questionnaires measured their stress levels. How did they perceive, was their ability to do things physically and cognitively? And so we were able to look at different individuals, older adults, all of them were 50 years and older, every single year. And we invited previous people from other years back again. So this is what we call longitudinal. We can follow people over a long period of time to see what changes are happening in their health. In this case, their physical performance and their cognitive performance. And we know that as we get older, our physical and cognitive performances tend to slowly decline. So we expected to see that in our older adults that were healthy. But one of our questions was, if you have fibromyalgia, what does that look like as well? Are you aging and doing worse in those things compared to those who don't have it, or are you doing the same thing? And we saw in our very first study in 2008 that even though our healthy adults, healthy population or healthy sample were about 8 to 10 years older than our fibromyalgia group, those who had fibromyalgia did worse on everything. They were about 8 years younger than the healthy group. And even though they were younger, they still did worse on all physical performance measures and most of the cognitive measures. And so we wanted to see what was happening over time, just naturally. Because this wasn't an intervention study. We want to say, okay, well, now let's do this and see if this helps. We just want to see what happens over time. Hence, this was an exploratory study. We wanted to explore what was going on with these individuals. Now that we have this massive data, and we try to start analyzing the data, then we can start intervening and starting to think about, okay, what are some things that we can do now to intervene, now that we know what's going on and what's happening. Right? So that's why a lot of times we do research that's more exploratory to understand what is going on. Once we can figure out what's going on and identify a place that we can fix something, then we can try to do an intervention study to see, okay, will this work? Will this work?
So since you are no longer doing data collection, do you still need undergrad volunteers?
So the element for that would be the opportunity to really get more involved with data. And we have a massive data set from every single year, so 5 waves of data. And it's a matter of looking at our variables, look at all the questions that we asked, and coming up with a research question. Right? If you're interested in looking at someone's stress levels and their cognitive performance, or their quality of life, or their perception of how well they can function and the physical performance, together on putting together a research question, learning how to do some statistics, answer and analyze that research question and hypothesis, and then maybe presenting that at a conference somewhere. And so that would be an opportunity for you to get involved using that existing data set. I did get an email from St. Jude's Chronic Pain Program, a physical therapist, who wants to do some research collaboration. And that's something that's in very, very early talks, but that might come to fruition in the next year or two. And if that's the case, then that might be an opportunity for you, or some of our students, to actually get involved with hands-on research in terms of data collection. And we might, I'm not sure yet, but we might continue this longitudinal study. So we just have to figure out if there's a reason for it statistically, and if we can continue doing this without funding, because we've been doing this pretty much without any funding. All of our students, most of our faculty have been doing this for free. We're getting academic credit, right? Either volunteer credits, or we're getting internship credits, or we're getting independent study for $599 credits. So we try to get something, you get something worth out of it, if it's not financial, but it's some type of academic units or something like that. So it's still contributing towards your success, in addition to getting a poster, getting published as an undergrad. Yes?
Do you remember the name of the therapist from St. Jude?
Oh, Brad Shumley, I believe.
Oh, it's because I volunteer there, so.
You do?
Yeah,
Is it the St. Jude chronic pain one?
yeah, it's like a separate location,
Mhm.
St. Jude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll have to, I think his name's Bradley. Yeah. Well, I might see you over there. I'm going to have a meeting. Cool. Questions?
So I know at least a few people in this room are thinking about applying for an PhD.
Yeah.
Since you did go through the process here at Cal State Fullerton, and I'm not sure if this is mentioned at the beginning,
health explorers and FAH program, which is one of my major programs. What advice would you have to folks preparing their application, which is due January 29?
Yes. So if you're interested in applying, one of the things that will make you more competitive is research experience, is work experience. So whether you get involved with something like my center or someone else in campus with your own department, that's going to make you a lot more competitive. Working in the community, someone with either a nonprofit organization, something that might be the population you want to work with, like an underserved population, something that demonstrates that you're committed to helping a community or a group of people, right? Whether that means you work for Alzheimer's Association and you're doing a lot of stuff with them. But what would be nice to see, not only as admissions, but also just for your professional development is continuity, right? Don't do it for just 20 hours or just for a little bit here, but like stick with the program and see through it all, right? Develop that partnership, develop that relationship, and leave being able to talk about what you contributed and what you did, right? Don't just say, yeah, I just entered data. Yeah, you're contributing to that, but what skills did you get from that that enhance your experience so that you can articulate that in your personal statement, right? So part of this is taking on opportunities, whether it's research, volunteering in the community, and then when you're doing those experiences, cultivating and being able to articulate what you gained from that and how that's going to help you in the program. And then just thinking about why you want to do an MPH. Why not psychology? Why not medicine? But why public health? Right? Whether it's because you understand the role that policy plays, or you want to be able to understand human behavior and why people do things or don't do those things, and how having a public health, a master's in public health, can help you understand or design studies to understand why people do things or don't do the things they do. Right? Or maybe you want to look at environmental health. Right? And you want to be someone who does water quality, or you might want to be someone who goes out to the restaurants and gives them the C or the D, right? So thinking about, again, different elements of social determinants of health and what is it you're interested in. The tracks that we have is gerontological health, health promotion, disease prevention, and environmental occupational health. Right? So that's what our tracks are in our masters in public health. So if you identify any of those particular tracks you might be interested in, that can really, that tells us as a committee that you've done your homework in terms of what it is that we offer, but how you would be a good fit for our program as well. Yeah, so I would say definitely research, community. Those are big things that are going to set you apart aside from the grades and the GRE score. Right? And we do require GRE, as most master's programs will now. So don't be afraid of that. I still am. My scores expire this year, so I have to figure out if I'm applying for PhD programs, which is my goal, and whether or not I'm going to take the GRE again if I decide not to apply now. So I'm trying to take my own advice and my own mentors and advisors' advice of not freaking out about it and just saying it's just another test, but it's the GRE. But yeah, it's just another stepping stone. Some schools are going to weight it heavier than others. I'll tell you, our school is a secondary criteria. With the other things, like your statement, your writing ability, your experience. Other questions? Yes.
If more research opportunities like the one with physical therapists did come up, how would we contact you or how would we?
So my assistants have created an application online. We just closed it just a week ago. This is kind of the first time we've used this application procedure and sent it out to a couple of places, and I've had an overwhelming response. More responses than I have opportunity, which tells me there's a want and there's demand, which is a really cool thing. So what I'm trying to do is really think about making sure I have opportunities for as many people want the opportunity. So we have a website, and we'll probably end up putting something on our website that says we're looking for calls for research assistants or people to join our team. Aside from that, I'll most likely be sending out a link probably to Aaron to disseminate to this program and to a few other places to say that we might be looking for some research assistants as well.
Does anyone have one last question?
I was just gonna ask regarding fees, program fees and stuff like that. Do you know of any scholarship opportunities or any advices on where to look?
When it comes to our program particularly?
Or any program?
Oh, yeah.
Here.
So from my understanding, there's somewhat limited scholarships and financial aid when it comes to master's programs that are out there in the community. I'm not saying that they don't exist, but there's tends to be a little less than there are for undergraduate and for doctoral level. So you might have to do a little bit more searching for foundations or organizations that provide that kind of funding. I know that when I went through my program here, I had some funding through some financial aid, like the state university grant. I think that's still something that is continuing. But I would say for the 3 years that I was here, we'll put it this way. I took financial aid out for the 4 years I was here for undergrad. And then the 3 years I was here for graduate school. And after those 7 years, I only had about $21,000 in financial aid that I had to pay back, which is not that much. And I would say probably the master's program, I probably took out 15 of that, 15,000 in financial aid. Everything else was supplemented through some type of grant that the university provided. Aside from that, there were scholarships. There's scholarships not only within your department, health science department or public health department, but also for the university. So take advantage of those things because very few students apply for scholarships. And it's a good thing if you apply because the likelihood of you getting it is greater. But very few people take advantage of that. And sometimes it can be $1,000, $5,000 to actually fund school and your tuition or books, or it can just be money that you put in your pocket so you can pay rent or you can eat. So part of it is being creative and having possibly different sources of funding, but part of that is taking the time to actually apply for some of these things and doing your homework beforehand to see what's out there that you might qualify for. But I would say don't let finances, don't let I can't afford that, don't let that be that reason for you to not go. Okay, because I didn't have it, my mom didn't have it, and I still got through it. So don't let the finances get in your way or be a barrier for your success.
Well, thank you so much, Jordan.
You're welcome. And if I can give you my contact information, you guys are more than welcome to email me or visit my office at any time if you guys have questions or anything else comes up. While you guys are here, I'll say hello.
They have your email address, so
Perfect.
thank you for being so open to that. And this is from us to you. Thank you. Can you stop?